Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Let's
Let's
see.
see.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Suhas and
Suhas and
Network Bib,
Network Bib,
man.
man.
Y'all
Y'all
were
were
like
like
neck and
neck
neck
and neck
there.
there.
That was
That was
wild.
wild.
Oh, that was weird. I had two. Looks like I have two microphones somehow enabled. 1 second. Yeah, I don't know why. Sorry about that. I'm gonna fix that real quick. I was doing a lot of upgrading and updating today, so I must have gotten things out of whack here. Let's see. How do I? There we go. Settings. This should be disabled. How do I? Okay, I think that's better. I think that should have removed the double sound. Tell me if you still hear the double sound though. Let's see. We have a new Discord member. Nice, very nice. Let's see. I'll approve my new Discord guy here. This Discord guy's name is Bro is Voldemort. So we just let Voldemort into the Discord. Butterscotch, what's up? Butterscotch, how are you? Does anybody else hear me double still? I think it should be better now. But if it's not, let me know. Nope. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sauce. Thanks for letting me know, buddy. Appreciate you. So I think the first thing I'd like to do today is I just want to share. Well, there's not a lot of people here, so maybe I will wait. But I want to share this clip. I want to share this clip from YouTube. Let me see if I can find it. Network Bib, all good. Thanks, Network Bib. Thanks for confirming. Appreciate you. There's this clip. Let's see. Okay, so first and foremost, I don't know if you guys know this, but I guess I didn't know this until this morning. Apparently, Pirate Software and the Primogen have a podcast together now. It's called Hack and Stash. And I blitzed through like the first 2 episodes this morning. And it's really good. You guys should go and subscribe. So it's called Hack and Stash. It's basically the Primogen and Pirate Software, and they are really smart and they got good takes. Gordak, bro, do you have any experience with installing AI locally? Gordak, if you're on a Windows machine, the easiest thing to do is just use Ollama. So if you're not familiar with Ollama, Gordak, this is just go to ollama.com and start here. This is like the easiest thing to get started with. You'll probably need to do some tutorials on like setting up a UI. There's a bunch of open source UIs for this. If you just search like Ollama chat UI, you can find something that you can run in like a Docker container and just wire it up. Gordak, I installed it, but having problems with making relation with MS SQL database. Oh, interesting. So you're Gordak, you mean you're wanting some model that you're using through Ollama to talk to a SQL database, a MySQL database, or MS SQL database, I guess is what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know exactly what problem. I don't even know what you have in mind there. I don't know if there's anything out of the box, but you could definitely wire something up, I think. Network Bib, Network Chuck has some great videos on it. Yeah, Network Chuck, second that recommendation. Just in general, Network Chuck's videos are great in general. But Gordak, it seems like Suhas might be able to help you. If you join our Discord, Gordak, you might be able to talk to Suhas directly. The Discord invite is in my channel links. I've never done exactly what it sounds like you're wanting to do. Gordak, yeah, I want to ask questions so that it will turn prompt into SQL query and bring me the results. Yeah, so it sounds like you probably want to just leverage the, there's an MCP server for this. So you probably could leverage some sort of MCP client connected to Ollama and then set up the MCP server. I think there's an MCP server for MS. Yeah, there's two. It looks like there's two MCP servers that people have built. That's probably your best bet. That's probably the most straightforward way of doing it, unless you want to wire it all together yourself, you know, in your own project. I've never done that, but I can definitely see a path to doing that, right? So you'd have like, what is it? Okay, yeah. So you'd have like, you'd have Ollama here, and then you're gonna have some sort of MCP client that's talking to, let's see, let's talk, what do I want to do? Control Shift. That's talking to Ollama, and then you'd have an MCP server that talks to your MSQL DB. Oops. You get the idea. Gordak. Oh, okay. It's called MCP server. Yeah, that's probably what I would use. Like, if you want to be able to just kind of have things work out of the box, I think you're going to want to find some sort of MCP client that will work with Ollama, which I don't know if there is one. I'm guessing there is. And then just use an MCP server to talk to the MSQL database. That would make it so that you're not reinventing the wheel, so to speak. Suhas, bro, literally comes and says what I just did. Yeah, so Gordak, Suhas might be able to. Yeah, and that might not be the greatest illustration. Maybe this was more helpful. But like what I'm picturing in my mind is you have Ollama locally that's doing the LLM stuff, and then Ollama. I think I spelled that wrong, but and then you have some sort of MCP client, and the MCP client is what you interact with. And then you have an MCP server, which provides the functionality to query into your MySQL database. MSQL DB. And then, you know, you're up here talking to the client, and you say something like, please get me my users in the users table, right? You say something like that. I can probably make this a little bigger. And then the MCP client's going to send this prompt over to the LLM, and the LLM's going to say, oh, okay, I see that you have the ability to use this MPC server. Let's use that. And so the LLM says, hey, call, you know, it generates some input. It responds with like whatever's necessary to call this MPC server, and then that MCP server client takes the inputs that the LLM generated over here, and it's gonna send it to the MCP server like that, and then the MCP server is gonna do whatever it does to translate that query to an actual SQL query, and then return the data back to the client. And then the client's going to return you know, actual response. This part is a big question mark, though. I don't know what this would be. This part of it. I don't know if there's a client that works with Ollama. Yeah, so it sounds like Suhas is building an MCP server to do that. But yeah, that's exactly. I mean, there's a bunch of MCP servers out there. I guess I could just search. Let's see, Ollama MCP client. Well, there you go. The internet's a wild place. Anything you think of, somebody's already trying to hack on it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe Gordak, this would be a fun video to make, huh? So yeah, maybe you gave me inspiration to maybe make a video about this. Gordak, can I build a REST service on top of that, like sending requests from C#? You're probably not going to want... So right here, this MCP client, I'm thinking of it being... I guess in my head, I'm thinking of this MCP client being some sort of chat UI application that somebody else has already written. But I guess in your case, this MCP client could be a program you wrote, right? Gordak, you could build an MCP client in maybe C# that talks to the MCP server over a REST API. You could wire it together that way, I think. It's probably not going to be... Yeah, I guess I don't know. The MCP is a very specific protocol, right? So that's its own thing. It's probably not going to communicate over REST. But you could do this. I mean, you could definitely do this. It's just you using a REST API, but you likely wouldn't use MCP, I'm thinking, just thinking of this off the top of my head. I think that if you wanted like a REST API that you could interact with to do the same kind of stuff, I guess I would think of it more like not an MCP server. I would think of it more like this, where your application, say this is your app that's written in C#. If this is your C# app, I think this would be more like tool use, right? I don't know, Gordak, how familiar you are with all the AI stuff, but I would think this is more in the line of tool use, where you're going to send a prompt to Ollama with a list of tools, and one of those tools is going to be able to query your database. Now, that's where it gets a little bit more messy, because then you're having to define the tools and handle the tool calling and the function calling yourself. So yeah, I don't know. I think it really depends on what you're trying to get after, because this is going to be much more complex, probably, because you're going to have to figure out how to do the translation of like what's the shape of the tool input and how do you translate that tool input to a MySQL DB. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on this. Hello, Ravillo. I just saw you in the chat, man. Good to see you. Let's see. Network bye 99. Network Bib says that like 6 times every time I stream. He always says bye and then he comes back later. Sauce, if you just want to talk to a database, it's better to fine-tune AI. Yeah, I think and that's kind of where I was going, was you're probably, if you want your own app that you can communicate, like say, like I think what Gordak was talking about is like this would be like a C# app, right? And then maybe you want to be able to have another application that calls your app over REST, like over a REST API. And then your app would do the function calling and say, hey, I just got this input from the user. Please generate a response. You send this to Ollama. Ollama's like, oh, hey, okay, it's asking me to query the database. I see you have a tool to query the database. And then Ollama's going to respond and say, please call this tool. And then your application is going to have to handle calling that tool. But maybe you could leverage that MCP architecture in some way. I just haven't gone down that rabbit hole deep enough. Like maybe we could Google for like talk to MCP server over REST API. Maybe there's something out there. Well, here we go. There's always. Let's see. MCP API Connect. MCP API Connect is a model context protocol server designed to facilitate connections to any REST API by allowing users to provide. No, that's not exactly what we're looking for. Yeah, not exactly what we're looking for. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Gordak, my boss is crazy with AI stuff, so he has been eating my brain to integrating AI to the app. We have like 50 gigabyte DB. Yeah, I mean, I would probably Gordak. Yeah, you didn't know about him. MCP might be something you explore, so that might be a good thing to talk, good thing to explore how you could leverage it. If you just want, yeah, I guess if in my opinion, the first thing you could do is just allow people to somehow send a prompt to some AI, some third-party AI provider like OpenAI or Anthropic, and then you could provide some tools that allow your application to call into your DB or query into your database. That's kind of the simplest agentic type of workflow, I think, right now that you could try to implement. You just need to do a little bit of, you just have to go through the process of understanding the tool calling and how that would work. And there are some SDKs. Like I have an SDK out there that I wrote for Anthropic's API. I can show you what that kind of looks like. Anthropic. I wrote an Anthropic client. This is in C#. This would help you do the tool calling, so you can define. Let me go down to the tool use section. Yeah, here we go. Tool use. So you could do something like this, where you define a get weather tool, or you define a query DB tool, and then you provide an implementation of that tool. And the only thing the LLM is going to do is the LLM is just going to generate whatever the inputs or whatever the method arguments are for that tool. And then this tool would get sent over as part of your prompt to the LLM. And then the LLM would say, hey, this would be a really good place for me to use your query DB tool, for example. What's up, Ducky Dev? How are you? Suas. I think Suas is talking to Gordak. Okay. Pratik, what are we doing today? I hear a lot of great buzzwords. I don't really know yet. I kind of just decided to stream, I don't know, 30 minutes ago or so. So I don't really have a plan. Maybe work on that MCP server a little bit more. Talk to you guys. Kyle, is a README or other spec for this project online? Kyle, which project? Which one exactly? Because what I was diagramming out for what I was drawing and talking about was more about just kind of answering Gordak's question, because it sounds like he's oh, nice, very cool, Gordak. Sounds like he's kind of getting asked some questions about how he can leverage AI against a database. So that's what I was more talking about. If you're talking about the MCP server I've been working on, Kyle, there is a repo for that, but there's not much documentation for it because I haven't got to that point of the project. But there is a repo online for it. Pratik, impromptu streams. Yeah. If nothing else, we'll just keep working on this guy. The one thing I did want to share with you guys though is I did want to share this clip, and kind of get, I don't know, I feel like other people need to hear this. So, where is it? Is this it? No, this isn't it. This is it. Alright, I'm just gonna play this. Hold on, let me pause the music. We don't need a bajillion sounds going on at once. This is really good. Oh, shoot. You gotta be able to hear it.
If you are in a position to learn something, you will learn. If you are in a position to learn something, you will learn. And then let's say that AI does take the job. So let's say the breakthrough happens, right? And you're like, oh man, I learned all this logical process stuff. I learned about programming and I can't use it anymore. Wrong. You can pivot that knowledge into other things because you understand logical process. You understand much more about how technology works. You understand about how these corporate offices work and how those actually interact with all this technology. Like, you understand the process now, and you can pivot into other roles that need that understanding to have them. And the other way is, oh, I decided not to learn anything because AI would take my job one day. Well, what if it doesn't? What if it does? You've learned nothing, so you don't have any possible advantages there. If you learn something, what if it does take your job? You pivot. What if it doesn't take your job? You work in tech. No matter what, if you actually put in the effort to learn these things, you're always going to benefit. And
That was the part I liked the most, which was if you put in the effort to learn something, you're always going to benefit. I just thought that was like really, really good wisdom with everything that's going on right now in the whole like AI hype cycle that we're currently in. I just felt like it was really nice to hear somebody kind of re-articulate the fact that like you just need to focus on learning and not get so hung up about whether you're going to learn the right thing or if that thing's actually going to take your job or replace you, and just focus on the fact that like if you put in the work, right, you're always going to be better off. But Pirate Software said it much more elegant than I could say it. Suas, you should set up a shortcut to pause the music. I should. you always come up with the best suggestions, Suas. Chet ran, I want to learn ML and DL with Java. Java has good libraries under ML and DL. Chet Tan, I don't know anything about Java or the Java ecosystem, so I'll have to take your word for it. But if you want to learn it, man, go get it. I say, just like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with devoting some time to bettering yourself. Pratik, that was a great clip. Yes, knowledge is power, and knowledge is never wasted, especially if you use it for something more focused. Yeah, agreed, man. Couldn't agree more. Butterscotch, yeah, efforts do benefit you. Agreed, yeah. Pratik, what is DL? I'm guessing he's talking about maybe data something. Maybe he meant to say data science, or I just went off the ML part, which is machine learning, is what I'm assuming he meant. But yeah, I guess DL. I was thinking something data, but I'm not sure what that would be. Also, my camera's gotten kind of dark. Let me brighten things up a little bit. It looks like we're going to get some rain here in Kansas. Deep learning? Ah, there we go. Suas is on it again. Pratik had the same reaction I did. Deep learning. Ah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I say if you want to learn something, go for it, right? I just don't think you're gonna have any wasted time doing that. All right, what do you say we write some code, huh? Maybe we can finish doing that that tree traversal that I was implementing. I don't think I was far off from being done with it, so yeah, we're in filters where we are. And we also want filter.spec. So we're at this point. So basically we can handle a not rule and we can handle a single rule. And what we need to do is we need to implement handling. We need to handle an and or an or. And this is essentially a tree structure. So the data structure that I'm working with is essentially a tree structure, right? The rules are the leaves, and then the other types, like the types of or ands, those are nodes essentially. Like I actually like. So yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a depth first traversal over this tree structure using a stack, essentially. versus breath first, which wouldn't work as well for what I'm trying to do. So this is I think this actually, I don't think this needs to be uppercase. Let me go look at the documentation for this real quick. Suhas. Yeah, caps lock was definitely on there for a minute. Pratik code. Yeah. Suhas, this is something about philosophy. Can you take a look at Steven? I don't. Were you saying where? What do you want me to look at, Suhas? Sorry, I missed it. If you said something. Let's see. Query records. Yeah, these can all just be lowercase. They don't need to be capitalized. So actually what we can do is we can actually say current type, and then we just want to add a space. Then I need to change my tests, tools.spec. No, filter.spec. And let's also open up another tab so we can get our tests running in that other tab. npm run tests. Hopefully they all pass. Nice, they're still passing. Okay, so we just want to add another test for basically the groups that we haven't tried yet. So let's add a test for it should convert a filter that is a and group with one rule. So if someone gives me, the interesting thing about this is if somebody gives me a single, I don't know why they would do this, but if the LLM does give me this, yeah, I just want it to be like that. So we're failing, we're throwing an error. Now we're just gonna go implement this. So filter. Filter. All right, so this is where we need to be. We need to implement this here. I think we're gonna have to loop. Butterscotch, you can switch between the tabs with control tab. Yeah, I know that. Sometimes I just get lazy. Sometimes I just get lazy because I'm new to this whole keyboard first workflow. I'm used to being a mouse user. I need to be more disciplined. Network bib. Guess who's back? Oh no, network bib's back again. Oh, is this what you were talking about? Suhas. So Suhas asked me to look at this note he had taken. Let's see. Learn for the sake of doing. Learn for the sake of learn. Yeah, I like this. I like this. I think a lot of the times I learn for the sake of learning. I mean, there's definitely times where like there's something I want to accomplish. Like I'm building a project or I'm trying out a new library, so I'm like trying to accomplish something, therefore I need to go and learn about that thing. I would call that like just-in-time learning is how I've always referred to that, as just-in-time learning. But there's definitely things that I just learn for the sake of learning. Like I like to learn a lot about like finance and economics. Like I'm super fascinated with the 2008 financial crisis. And that's more of like a learn for just learning's sake. You know, there's not really a good use for it. I probably won't be able to monetize it, but I like that. Steven, you haven't posted a message about, oh, did I not? Oh, crap. Look, I was literally getting ready to announce in Discord that I was live, and this is what I got to writing. I'm sorry, Ducky Dev. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm live here. I guess mostly hanging out, but doing some code. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Stefan's probably going to be pissed if he shows up. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. That's probably why I should automate that, huh? Marcus, who codes in Python? I don't know. Lots of people, Marcus. I mean, holy shit, like the whole AI industry, right? Codes in Python. Network bib, bye. This is not very interesting when laying in bed. Fair enough, Network bib. See you, man. Suash, yeah, I love history and economics too. Yeah, I really enjoy those. Like I think I told you guys I listened to this audiobook called what was it called? It was see if I can find it. It was called it had a really boring title. How do I log in? Library. It was something like monetary history. Yeah, it was called A Monetary and Physical History of the United States. This was the book. And I bought this with a credit, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try to listen to this. I thought it was gonna be really dry, but it was actually super interesting. But that's definitely an example of like learning just to learn. Marcus, yeah, there's a Discord server. If you go to my channel links, there's a Discord invite link there if you want to join. Ducky Dev, I'm going to take a break from coding, but I'm going to do a gradual release system for Duckbot, as adding all the features might take a long time being solo. Yeah, I agree with you, Ducky Dev. You should probably have like an MVP, right? And just that's what I'm going to do with this MCP server. I'm going to get this MPC server so that the querying works. And this is like the last bit of functionality I need to make that work. And then I have one more tool that I'm going to add that allows people to retrieve attachments from records. And then I'm going to ship it. And I don't expect a lot of people to use it, you know, but I will have learned something in the process. And I don't know, maybe there'll be some OnSpring people who get curious and want to put it to use. And then you can always flush it. You can always flush out your project more and more, right, as people actually use it, or as your interest in it comes and goes. But yeah, definitely, if you wait to put something out until it's 100% feature complete, you might be waiting for a while. Marcus, I code in Python as well. Started not so long 3 months now. Yeah. That's really strange, Marcus, because you came into the chat saying who codes in Python. Chiton, does anyone know Spring Boot? Is it really being used? I don't know Spring Boot because I don't know Java, but as I understand, that's still the most popular web framework in Java. Spring Boot, right? Java, Spring Boot. Like that's kind of like the bread and butter of building web apps, as I understand it, in Java. I could be totally wrong, but so I would guess it's still widely used. If it's not widely used, then there's definitely probably lots of people maintaining applications that use it. So learning it probably is useful. You know, it's kind of like in .NET, in the .NET world, right? There's tons and tons of applications out there in the wild that are still on .NET framework. So you sort of still need to know a little something about .NET framework, even though for the most part the ecosystem has largely moved on from that. Yeah, programming with Mosh is pretty great, huh? I've taken his I took a C# course from, what's his last name? Programming with Mosh. Forgot his full name's Mosh I'm gonna mess up his last name. You're talking about this guy. I took this course, his Vidly MVC5. I took that at one point. It was good. So I'm guessing all his Java stuff is great too. Got too many tabs open. Need to consolidate my. Let's see. Where's the music coming from? There it is. All right. Back to the code. See you, Suhas. Have a good meal, man. Yeah, he's a good teacher. Yeah, he really is. Agreed. Yummers. Hey, Steven, how do you deal with burnout? Don't you get tired sometimes? I honestly, Yummers, I don't really, because to be completely honest with you, like, if I don't feel like, because most of the stuff I do, especially like streaming or making videos or stuff, I do it on the side, you know? So if I don't feel like doing it, I just don't do it. You know, so it's like I don't really ever get burnt out. I just kind of listen to where kind of, I guess, where my vibes are, right? Like if I feel like streaming, then I stream. If I don't, I don't. If I feel like making a video, I do that. If I feel like coding, I code. If I feel like working on a different project or trying something new, I do that. Work-wise, yeah, for sure. Like work, you're always gonna have moments of burnout when it comes to work, because by definition, you know, work is about doing something for somebody else. It's not necessarily about doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? So you just kind of have to. I mean, that's just part of being kind of an adult. You know, you just got to kind of. I don't want to sound like really broy, but you just kind of have to gut up and do it. You know. Some days you're not going to want to go in and work for your boss and do what they want you to do and do the task that's on the board, and you got to get it done, you know. I think what helps me in those scenarios is I think it helps me knowing that I have other things outside of work that I can pour myself into and derive energy from, right? So having my own side projects, making content, lifting weights, you know, there's other things I can pour myself into that give me energy and make me feel excited. Unfortunately, that's kind of, I mean, I know other people are a lot are luckier to like work for themselves or do their own things full time, but I'm not. You know, I work for somebody else, and then I do what I can in my free time. So something you want to do, something you should do. Yeah. Chiton Rose says, will do. Why I'm asking is because the functionality of cores is likely to be implemented via Spring Boot. Do you guys ever tried cores? Yeah, Chiton, if you're going to do web development, you're going to have to learn how to deal with cores, which cross-origin resource. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that, you know. Most of the frameworks, though, make it pretty easy to deal with, Chiton. I mean, like in C#, you just put a middleware in, and then you explicitly configure what origins, what methods, you know, what is allowed, right? And I'm guessing Spring Boot has a very similar functionality. It's just built in, and it's probably just a middleware or something that you configure. Marcus, you just got a new follower. Nice. Well, I appreciate that. I'm guessing you're referring to yourself, Marcus, but I could be wrong. Bro is getting good at expressing his thoughts. Hopefully over time getting better. Abu, hey, how everything is going? Abu, everything's going well, man. Things are good here. We're getting a little bit of rain, it looks like, maybe. Um, but yeah, we're just enjoying a nice Saturday, chilling, talking to you guys, drinking some coffee, trying to work on code, you know? Yummers, yeah, it's definitely in work life. Side projects, there are no deadlines. Yeah, Yummers, it's tough, man. Work life is one of those things that's just burnout is just a thing, you know? And the best way to deal with it, I feel like, is just to try to manage your energy and manage your health, you know, both physically and mentally outside of work, right? So have other things that you enjoy, you know, take time away from work when you can, all those things, you know. Chiton, yes, cross-origin resource sharing, like using OAuth 2. And I don't know, I mean, cores shouldn't play too much of a factor, I would think, in OAuth, other than just allowing the proper origins to be able to hit your server. But yeah, it's just going to be a middleware in most frameworks these days. I think Hano is the same way, which is a TypeScript, JavaScript framework for building a newer one. Express has a core as middleware, so it's not very complicated to work around or to configure. Sam, what's your NeoVim theme? This is One Dark Pro, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, telescope themes. One dark. I think it's one dark is the theme I'm using. That guy. And yeah, it works pretty good for all the different languages. I primarily use TypeScript, C#, a little bit of Python, Vue. I mean, it looks good in all the different file types that I edit. So I would co-sign. Marcus, yeah, to me, I love the vibe. Okay, nice, very cool, Marcus. Ikjika says, I have built a password manager on terminal on Python. How do I build a UI for it? That's very cool that you built a project. I'm not terribly familiar with building GUI apps in Python. I am aware of a couple different libraries that are Python libraries. I think the one that I've heard the most of is called Tinker. Yeah, or maybe it's Tinker. Which is like a GUI. You can build GUI applications in it. So that might be something for you to look into. Because I would guess you have a lot of that logic already in existence for managing the password. You just need to hook up some forms and some screens to it. So this would be one. There was somebody else had recommended Python GUI libraries. There was another one that someone had recommended to me. This one. Kivy? And this one looked pretty cool. I've never used this one. Let's see, gallery. Maybe there's some pictures here that we can look at. But that's probably where I would start, is like you're going to want to use you basically just want to find yourself a Python GUI library and start using that. Otherwise, you're going to have to figure out probably how to write a web app, right? If you want to, and then you're going to have to get into whole like, then you're down a whole nother rabbit hole, right? Chiton, this is Saturday for you. It's midnight, 2 a.m. Sunday for me. Yeah, time zones are weird, man. Time zones are really weird. Abu, do you enjoy coding on the weekend? I do, Abu. I enjoy coding all the time. So the way I kind of explain it to people is like, my father-in-law, he really likes to do like puzzles, like 1,000-piece puzzles, right? He just likes to sit and relax and put the puzzle together. And coding for me is like that. I like to sit and relax and solve problems with code, and I find that to be a really enjoyable way to spend my free time. Sam, this looks great. I'll try it out. I use similar language as you mentioned. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. One dark, dark, which sounds redundant, but Timmy, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good, Timmy. How are you? New here. Yeah, first time I think I've seen you in the chat, so glad to have you, man. Hope you're doing well. What is going on right now? We're just kind of chatting and talking, but when I feel like it, I'm gonna go in right here and I'm gonna implement this method, or continue to implement this method, which is basically, it's taking like a filter tree structure and it's converting it into a string that represents that same filter, and it's in the context of building a model context protocol server. So happy to explain more if you're interested, but that's what we're doing. A little bit of chatting, a little bit of coding. Two girls, one Frankie. Literally was looking at this the other day. What were you looking at the other day? Everything feels like a rabbit hole. What were you looking at the other day? Ik Chica. Thank you very much. Of course, man. Hopefully that'll be helpful. How many times do you go live for a week? I love the vibes. I usually go live every day. Monday through Friday, I usually am live like around 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sometimes I'm live in the mornings too, like 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then on the weekends, I usually will go live around 2 o'clock or so, depending on what's going on. I'm a dad, so I've got a wife and 2 kiddos, so family comes first. But if we're having a pretty chill weekend, then I'll go live. Abu, so it's coding while chilling. Exactly, Abu. Imagine like, picture in your head, we're all hanging out like a coffee shop. Everybody's got their laptops open. We've all got our own little side projects, and we're just kind of hacking. Two girls, one Frankie. Tinctor. Oh yeah, I've only used it once, and it was like a very simple tutorial type of thing. I haven't built much GUI stuff. Or web apps really in Python much. Only the most Python I've written was like a small library to interact with the public API. Python is just it's never really grabbed me. Two girls, oh nice, very cool. Yeah, so dad's in the chat. Nice, I like it. Yeah, if you're interested in meeting other dads in tech, there's actually a very cool group out there that's just getting started that I'm a part of. It's growing. It's called Dads in Tech. They have a Discord server. You should check it out if you're interested. Chitan, what the fuck? You're a dad. You look like you're 25. Nope, I'll be 32 on Monday. I got 2 kids. One's 9. I got a 3rd grader and a 1st grader, so I'm well down the parenting path. Suhas link. Oh, to the Dads in Tech thing? Yeah, hold on one sec. One sec. This is the best place to start. I think the Discord link is here on this page. It's a pretty cool group. 2 girls. Being a dad at uni is kind of crazy. Oh man, yeah, I bet. I had my kids after college, so I'll bet you are very busy, my man. Ik Chica, what other programming like Suha says he is old. Okay. I guess for the internet, I could be kind of considered old. YouTube tells me the majority of people who watch my channel are between the age of like 24 and 34. So I am kind of at the older end of the demographic, it seems. What other programming language do you recommend? I would check out JavaScript, honestly. Ikchika, if you're familiar with Python and you enjoy working in Python, that's great. I would never want you to stop doing that, but maybe check out JavaScript. It'll feel, similar because it's dynamically typed, it's interpreted. But the benefit of learning JavaScript is then, you feel very comfortable working with things in the browser. And then you also have another language now that you can work with on the server. So I think JavaScript's a great programming language to look at. And then once you kind of get your head around JavaScript, I would encourage you to look at TypeScript, which is very similar to JavaScript, right? It's just a superset of JavaScript. It just adds some extra some extra functionality through the use of static types. So I think Python has something similar, right? To that, it's not quite like TypeScript, but it's called, is it Pydantic? I think is the name of it, right? Or that might be more of a validation library. But I think Python has some equivalent to it or similar to it. But yeah, TypeScript's great because then you kind of get a better dev experience, in my opinion. So might be something interested to check out, you know. Chet Ton says after Python, Mern stack is best. I wouldn't. I think the merge stack's great. Nothing wrong with that. It goes right along with learning JavaScript. I mean, the thing with the Mern stack, right? The reason why the Mern stack is so OP is because you learn one language and you can go end to end, right? And it's hard to beat. I mean, C# is trying to do that with things like Blazor. But yeah, it's hard to, JavaScript has an edge on almost every other language because it is the native language of the browser. So if you're in the web development world, it just kind of, you got to know JavaScript anyways. And so then if you can have a tech stack that allows you just to go end to end in one language, it's kind of OP. It seems like the place where it falls down is right when you start getting into that whole idea of scalability and performance, and you want to be able to do kind of multi-threading or work that requires some level of significant concurrency or parallelization. That's where then it seems like then you have to kind of step out of JavaScript world and you have to start talking about maybe using Go or C# or Java. Suas, bro, can I use Python instead of JavaScript? For sure, man. You can use whatever language. I mean, use the language you enjoy, right? I mean, obviously we're coming full circle back to that whole conversation about work and burnout. But if your job requires you to write Python, or if your job requires you to write JavaScript, but you want to write Python, good luck there. But in your free time, you should pick the stuff you want to work with. Let's see. Ikchika says, is it better to learn one programming language good, or is it better to learn two at the same time? Well, I think, Ikchika, it's hard because you're always going to be learning, right? You're probably not going to become a master, so to speak, in any one language without dedicating many years, right? And so if you wait until you're a master at one to start learning another, you might miss out on opportunities, right? So I think the key is to get to a place where you feel very proficient in one, right? Like for me that's largely C# and TypeScript, where if someone said, hey, I need you to build this thing, I feel very comfortable doing that in C# or doing that in TypeScript. And I think that's the key, right? Get very, very comfortable. And then once you feel comfortable that if someone asked you to do something, gave you a list of requirements, you could implement it, then I think you're at a place where it's okay to start taking a peek at other things. And I explained this to somebody else on stream the other day. I think everyone's goal should be trying to become, the T-shaped developer, right? So the fact of the matter is the horizontal line of that T can pretty much keep going down almost ad nauseum, right? There's just always more depth to something. And so you kind of have to decide, okay, I'm going to be a T-shaped developer in Python, right? And so my depth is going to be in Python, but at some point you have to say, okay, I have enough depth now, and now I want to start broadening my experience left and right a little bit and start exploring. You don't want to be that guy who, you don't, like, the thing I think about is like if you were, learning to code in 99 or 2000, right? And you thought the web was a fad. And so you just ignored learning JavaScript and HTML and CSS and all that stuff. And you just kept on writing, C, C++, or Visual Basic or something, in 5 years you probably looked up and thought, dang, I missed out an opportunity there, right? So that's why you want to be focused, you want to be trying to learn your thing well, but you also want to be heads up and paying attention to what's going on. And I mean, I'm an example of that right here, where I'm spending some of my free time learning about MCP. Although I don't know if I'll ever actually be like a deep master, right, in like generative AI or LLMs in general, but I at least want to have some awareness and some familiarity. So hopefully that helps. Abu, a toy language to top language. JavaScript is the ultimate king for it. Really is. I mean, it's just kind of OP in that sense. And it's unfair because if Python had been the language of the browser, then it'd be Python, right? I mean, it's just got kind of an unfair advantage. Scott says, I like the simplicity of Golang. That's awesome, and I've been trying to learn some Go, so hopefully I enjoy it as well. I'm very early on in my Go learning journey. Suhas. Nice. Okay, so what do you guys say? Let's see if we can get this test case I wrote to pass. I know I've been running my mouth here for a little bit. Okay, so I think what I want to do is... well, Copilot's going to try to help me, and I don't want it to. So, Copilot, I need you to be quiet here for a second while I think through this. So I think the first thing I need to do is... I basically need to start iterating over the rules that are a part of this. So if I say, I need to just basically have a for loop that says... let's do for const, and let's get the index, and then let's get the rule of current dot rules. And the reason why I want the index, not rules, it's dot entries, rules dot entries. The reason why I want the index is because if it's just one... Like in my test case, like let's go back to my test case here. If it's just a single rule, then I don't really need an and here. That would look dumb, right? What I want to know is if I'm on if I'm on an index greater than 0, then I want to add and, because the next rule needs to have an and preceding it. So then what I need to do in my loop is I think what I need to do is I need to say if index equals 0, we are going to stack dot... No, if index is not 0, I think is what I want to say. If index is not 0, then we are going to stack dot push. Well, we're going to stack dot push the type. Like this. And then regardless of what the index is, we want to stack dot push that rule. Like this. I think that's what we want to do. So let's see if that passes my case. Oh, we need to break. We want to break. Okay, yeah, that worked. So now let's try adding a test case for... let's add a test case for more than one rule. And I think I've said this before. I need to transform these test cases into like a data-driven test, because I'm basically doing the same thing in each test. The only thing that changes is the incoming filter and the expected string. So I'll refactor this once I get this implemented. So let's see, it should convert a filter that is an AND group with 2 rules. This should be an AND. Chatao, man, let me be honest though. I've learned Java and its flavors, and I've also tried Python, but JS is one kind of hell. Can't even master vanilla JS. The language has many flavors. I'm very weak in JS. Hey man, I mean, it takes time to master any language, right? I like JavaScript. I know a lot of people like to shit on it and say funny things, but I enjoy it. Suas, bye. I'll go something because I'm eating. Okay, see you, Suas. Oh, there's my wife. My wife just chatted. Hello, honey. I wish I could like your guys' chat messages. Ikjika, are you programming an LLM? I am not. Ikjika. So what I'm working on is well, it'd probably be easiest if I demoed it. So there's this new thing out there in the world called Model Context Protocol. If you want to learn more about it, there's a website that has all their docs and stuff. It's basically a common abstraction layer to allow LLMs or MCP compliant clients to talk to MCP servers, which are this abstraction that wrap existing tools or existing pieces of software to allow the MCP client to use those things, right? So you can imagine that the whole idea here is to enable things like Claude or Cursor or VS Code to be able to readily interact with other pieces of software, right? So you could set up an MCP server in Cursor to query into your SQLite database, right? And so what I'm building is an MCP server that lets me talk to something called the OnSpring API. And you can think of OnSpring as like just another place where data is stored. So at the end of the day, what people will be able to do is they'll be able to set up this MCP server in something like Claude Desktop, and they'll be able to say, can you tell me what apps I have in my OnSpring instance? And then what Claude's going to do is it's going to say, oh, okay, you're talking about OnSpring. Well, I have some tools to interact with OnSpring. And then the user can allow Claude to make use of that MCP server. So you can see Claude went out and called that API endpoint, or Claude generated an input for the MCP server, which is the code that I'm writing. And then my code took that input and got the apps and then returned those to Claude, basically sticking it in that context window. And now we can talk about that data, right? Now it's in the context window, and so we can ask questions about it. We can do other things, like I can say something like, oh, I see I have a user's app. Can you tell me what reports that app has? Right? And so then again, my MCP server provides the ability to find the apps for a particular, or the reports for a particular app. So that's what I'm building. Right? And then I could also go and get the data for this report. That's what I'm in the process of working on. But the code I'm writing right now is about facilitating a particular function in my MCP server. That's the code I'm writing right now. But that's the context that I'm writing it for. Chatan says building an LLM is manageable, but if you really want LLMs, you can try Olama. Yeah, I don't know. Building an LLM is I don't know how manageable it is. I mean, you could definitely, I think, build a toy one, but building one that approximates something like ChatGPT or Claude. It was probably quite the project, and very expensive. I mean, I guess you can use open weights, right? So you could use somebody else's weights, and that would probably get you around some of the cost of training. Abu says, one of my JavaScript teachers told that JavaScript is like Abu, that's like, I mean, it's kind of sexist, but like, I totally understand what he's saying as a dude. I guess if it had been, you could probably, depending on the audience, you could probably say the same thing that JavaScript is like guys, because guy behavior doesn't make a lot of sense to girls. Chitana Olama is an open source platform where you can download LLMs like Llama without using internet or Wi-Fi. It works fine, but you need a you need a GPU. Yeah, you're kind of constrained by hardware. But yeah, I agree. Olama is great. It just makes it super easy to interact with local LLMs. Shaitan, funny and accurate. How many apps does you already create? Are you talking about how many projects I've worked on? Brennan, what are we coding? Brennan, we are working on a model context protocol server. That's what we're working on. Intermittently, between running my mouth and at chat. We are working on that. And if you don't know what that is, I'm happy to provide additional context, but that's what we're working on. But to answer your question, I've worked on a lot of projects. So I started learning to code 5-6 years. When my son's a third grader, and I got really serious about it when he started kindergarten. I got super serious about learning to code, because I thought, my son, he's going to go to elementary school and he's going to learn so much, and in 5 or 6 years, he's going to be super, super capable at a lot of things. And so I thought, you know what? That 5 or 6 years is going to pass whether I like it or not. And so I should probably put that time to use myself, right? And so I picked programming and coding as kind of the skill I wanted to acquire. So, and particularly focused kind of in web development. And so yeah, I've built quite a few things. One of the projects I'm most proud of is there's two. There's one that's really silly. It's really silly, but it was something I built very early on when I was learning to code, and it's a game. It's called Number Bonds, and this kind of coincides with my son starting school. But he was learning math, and they were constantly having to practice these number bonds. And so I thought, I could build a small little web app game like that basically generates these things for him, that we could play, on his iPad or something, in the browser. And it's very simple. It's just a static, it's just vanilla CSS, vanilla HTML, vanilla JS. But it's got different levels on it. He came up with this idea for impossible, so he would give me ideas and I would implement them. And it was a way for him to practice. It was a way for me to practice implementing code. And like I said, it's very simple, but it was a lot of fun to build, and it was something that I built without any direction, right? There was just, I have an idea and I implemented it. The other project probably that I'm super proud of is a project, where is it? Let me go to my profile. This one. It's an API that I built. Basically it's a React front end, and then the API just returns data about the TV show Criminal Minds. But this was another example of a project I built very early on when I was learning to code, and no one really gave me any direction. I kind of set my own requirements, and then I went and implemented it. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time writing code and building small little projects myself over the last 4 or 5 years. Chiton says the background, lo-fi generator. How does it work? Is it your work? Is the music AI generated? No, it's not AI generated. It's algorithmically generated. It's not my work. We did track down the guy who built it. The guy who built it is named Dylan Turner. This is his website. He built it. I sent him an email to tell him thank you very much because I've gotten so much use out of it. He never responded to me. Um, he I he it looks like his presence online has drastically dropped from like 2022. So hopefully he's okay. But yeah, it's a really awesome site for people who make content and stream and stuff because it's good chill vibe music, but it's not going to get you copyright striked because it's all algorithmically generated. But I don't know how exactly he did it. The code is not available anywhere to look at, but very interesting. Whoops. All right, so let's try to do this next test, huh? We'll have Copilot generate us another filter. Come on, Copilot. Oh, I disabled Copilot, didn't I? That's all right. We can do it ourselves. We can do it the old-fashioned way. Let's see. Type. No. Type. It's going to be and. We're going to have some rules. Yeah, we're just going to do it the old way. Copy paste. Here we go. Paste that in. And then we'll also get this rule up here. Okay, and then we're going to say const results equals convert filter to string. We'll pass in our filter. And then what we should expect is the result to be, and so we're processing these in orders. So the first one should be status equals active. And then this should be and not, which doesn't make any sense, but not status equals not equals active, like that. And then this one should fail. So it's close, but it's backwards. That's because I'm using a stack, and I'm processing my for loop from first to last. I actually need to process it in reverse order. So we need to go to the filter. So we actually need to do this in reverse. Abu, I started looking for a remote job for MERN stack dev role. How should I prepare for interview? Abu, it's hard for me to give you advice on that front. I work, my professional dev career has been as a quality engineer, so it's hard for me to give you. I've never interviewed for a MERN stack dev role or applied for one. If I was gonna prepare for one myself, I would probably just do a quick Google search and be like common MERN stack interview questions, and that's probably where I would start. And let's see, Chiton says projects are necessary. Yeah, so maybe a quick review of projects you built, Abu, and maybe think about some of the things that you like about them or don't like about them. Might be helpful. Ducky Dev, no, I lost. I don't get it, Ducky Dev. A single match lasted 4 rounds worth. What are you talking about, Ducky Dev? Why is this music's a little... I'm gonna skip that song. I'm gonna skip that one. I don't know, it seems really loud to me. I'm just gonna turn it down for myself. Alright. Let's fix my book. Okay, so what's the best way to do this? We could just reverse. We could just... God, I really don't like like, I really don't like your classic for loops. I much prefer working this way. So I guess what I could do is I could just just create a local, say, const rules. I could just create a local and say current dot rules dot... Isn't there like a to reverse now? Because reverse is going to mutate it. Okay, so let's just spread it. Let's say this current dot rules dot reverse. And then we'll say rules dot entry. Okay, now we got things in the right order. Oh, we don't have we don't need this to be uppercase. These can be lowercase. This is going to be lowercase too. Well, that's thy test name. It doesn't need to be lowercase. And then we're just missing a space in the proper place. So I just need to put a space on either side. Well, actually, I think that's going to be wrong for, that'll work for that case, but I think it's going to be wrong for 3. So if I did, if I do another one here, let me just copy paste this. Whoops, not delete it. Yank it. I think that's a really funny NeoVim way of saying copy. Just yank it, man. 3. And let's say this is going to be this is going to be type rule. And then this is going to be field name. Let's say created by. And let's say operator is filter operators dot equal. Oh, and value. value is going to be Steven, which means then we'd expect this to say and created by. Let's actually do this. Created by. I'm actually going to have to rewrite all these tests actually because the final string I produced it can't have field names in it. It's going to have field IDs. So I'm going to have to rework this, but I'm okay with that. So and created by equals Steven. So I think this is not gonna work because there's gonna be an extra and. Oh no, it does work. Okay. Cool. I surprised myself. I thought there was gonna be a hole in my logic here, but that seems to be working. Filter. All right, so now we need to try this for the OR case and make sure that works, and then we need to try some really complex ones with like, ORs that are nested with an ands that are nested with an ORs with not. We need to kind of come up with some more complex ones. But I think before we do that, it might behoove us to rewrite this to be data driven. So I think what I'll do is I'll just declare a global variable down here, or not a global, but a scoped variable inside this const block, and I'm just going to call it test cases, and I'm going to set this equal to an array of filters. So we'll have a filter. This is our test filter, which is a type filter, and then actually better yet, let's just do this. Let's do this like a proper person would. Let's create a type called test case, and that's going to have test filter, and then it's going to have an expected string of type string, and then we're going to have const test cases, which is going to be an array of test cases like this. And then we'll just move all the test cases from our test down here. And then, hey, Kai Kai, if you're going to be out here, you can't be yelling though. Okay, Bubba? All right. Abu, bye. My eyes are hurting. See ya, Abu. Chatan, the lo-fi generator is such a stress reliever. I'll make my own one. Nice, dude. You're going to reinvent the wheel there? I'd just use Dylan's if it was me. If it was me, that's what I would do. But might be an interesting project to try to reiterate. Chatan, have you ever tried red black trees? It is applicable here because of all those rule stuff. I might be wrong though. Haven't really tried DSA in my personal projects. I haven't. I purely just, I've never actually heard of that. I just came up with this whole idea of like a tree structure based on the way the final filter string is composed. I was like, I think a tree makes sense here. Red, black trees. I've never heard of this, and it's probably because I don't have a computer science degree, so that's probably why I haven't heard of it. Let's see. In computer science, a red-black tree is a self-balancing binary search tree data structure. Huh. Self-balancing? I think that might not be useful for what I'm doing. I think just a simple tree is plenty for me. But yeah, thanks for enlightening me. That's something I've never heard about. Hey Kaika, will you turn that volume down a little bit, buddy? Oh, butterscotch. Thank you, butterscotch. Yeah, I didn't reading the Wikipedia on it right now. It didn't seem like I really need the self balancing aspect of that. It said something about how it stores an extra bit of information to allow for that self balancing behavior. Hunter code, is it JavaScript? This is well, this is TypeScript. So like if you see like this wouldn't normally be in JavaScript, so it's TypeScript. But if you know JavaScript, you'll be able to read this code for sure. All right, so let's do. Okay, so we just start moving these test cases down. Well, select that. Come down here, yank it. I'll jump down to the bottom. So filter, and then hang in there, guys, because this is gonna be a little boring for a second. I'm just gonna be moving characters around. Let's see, expected string. Oh, test filter. And then let's see, this is gonna be that. Okay, and then the idea here is then up here, I'll be able to just do a real simple for loop to say for const test case of test cases. Oh, because that constant's defined down below. That's kind of frustrating. Can I just make this... Yeah, I really don't want all these test cases to be at the top of the file. Because it kind of makes it hard to read. What if I just turn this into a function that just returns all the test cases? So then it's hoisted. So I'll say turn this into a function, and we'll say test cases. And instead of this being an assignment, this will be a function. And we'll just return it like that. And then up here, we'll call it. And then we'll say test. It should convert given filter to expected filter string. And then we can do everything we're doing in here. We can just say, whoops. Everything we're doing here, we can just say const result equals convert filter to string test case dot test filter, and then we can say expect results dot to be test case dot expected string, like that. And that should work. Yeah, there we go. So then we'll be able to basically, instead of having to have a bunch of individual tests, we can just add a new test case to our test case array down below, and it'll automatically get included. Hunter. Okay, yeah. DuckyDev. TS is basically JS with C# things. I like that description, DuckyDev. I like that description because I always find myself saying, you know, if you're a TypeScript dev, I think you'd really like C#, and if you're a C# dev, I think you'd really like TypeScript. So I like that description. TypeScript is basically JavaScript with some C# in it. I'm sure there's people out there on the internet that would challenge me, but I like that definition. Hunter Code, can you explain the scenario? Yes, Hunter Code. So what I'm building is I'm building a model context protocol server that talks to a third-party API. This third-party API has an endpoint on it. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. This third-party API has an endpoint called getRecordsByQuery, and this endpoint requires you to pass a filter that looks like this string. It's a little small here. Let me make it a little bigger. That looks like this string right here. But I do not want my MCP to tell the LLM that the LLM needs to properly construct a string that looks like this. Instead, what I want my MCP server to do is I want it to tell the LLM, here's a structured representation of a proper filter. So in that case, a proper filter looks like this. Let me show you. I can show you real quick. A proper filter would look like this guy, where you'd have this root node, which can be kind of one of a few polymorphic objects, and then it can have that root can then have other rules or other filters that are a part of it, and then so on and so forth. So you end up with this sort of tree-like structure. Let me see. I've got a diagram of this I can show you. One sec. So if I was to put this in Excalidraw real quick, it would look like this. Oops. Right? So that's kind of what that type in TypeScript is kind of representing, as a tree structure like this. And then my code, or that function that I'm writing tests for, are going to convert that to a string that essentially represents that tree structure, right? And then that string is what's actually going to go to the LLM, or not the LLM. That string is actually what's going to go to that third-party API in that API request. So it's kind of a lot of work to make this API request that I want to make, but the idea is so that the LLM doesn't talk to me in strings; it talks to me in a structured data structure. I've kind of described that to the LLM. If I go into my server here, you can see in my query records endpoint, the filter is defined by the filter schema. And so the LLM will end up seeing this schema, these schemas that I've defined. The LLM will say, okay, if I want to pass a filter to this tool, the LLM's going to know, okay, I need to generate an object, or I need to generate an input that has this proper structure. And we're using Zod to basically validate that as part of the MCP server. It's kind of a whole thing, but that's the scenario, man. It's kind of like a scenario nested within a scenario nested within a scenario. But that's the idea. And so yeah, I guess that Excalidraw diagram is actually kind of helpful. Yeah, that's actually kind of really helpful way to visualize it. So then this would end up getting translated to, what would that end up getting translated to? That would end up getting translated to status equals active and age is greater than 18, or role or not role equals admin, is what that would end up getting translated to by my function. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're working on. That's the scenario. Like I said, it's a little bit more work. I could have just told the LLM, like I could have just tried to tell the LLM, like, this is how you construct a properly formatted filter string, but I felt like that was going to require way more massaging and coaxing through prompting the LLM via the description of my tool than I felt like that was going to be more work than doing what I'm doing. Butterscotch says you can use YI bracket to select inside brackets and YI apostrophe to select inside quotes. Okay, let me try to practice these Vim motions because, as you can tell, I'm very poor at the Vim motions. Let's see. So filter spec. So you're saying if I'm at a bracket, I can type YI bracket. So YI bracket? No, inside bracket. Sorry. YI bracket. Huh. I must have broke this motion as well, Butterscotch. Or maybe it's YI bracket? No, that doesn't work either. I must have broken this. And then you said inside bracket, and then YI apostrophe, then select inside quotes. Y I apostrophe. Oh, are you saying it already selected it for me? It's yanking it for me? Okay, so there's nothing visual on the screen. I'm an idiot. So YI bracket. Ah, nice. But it doesn't include the brackets. What if I want to include the brackets? How would I do that, Butterscotch? Yeah, thank you, Butterscotch. I just figured that out. Thank you, man. I'm such an idiot. I was expecting it to like visually select it, but you're saying it yanked it, which is why I type Y. Ah, now I get it. Now I get it. Let's see. Shaitan says, had some fun and knowledge, young bro. We'll be back again because I'm from India. It's midnight. Also time for me to test flow. All right, see you, man. Have a good night. Kira says, hi, Indonesia. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, man. Thanks for saying hi. Vikesh says, is coding dying? Nah, Vikesh. I think it feels like that right now because of the whole AI hype and the vibe coder wave that people are riding. But I honestly think that the demand for devs, the demand for knowledgeable devs and knowledgeable engineers will probably increase in 3 to 5 years because there is so much code that's going to be generated with AIs. And then we're going to get to a place where it's like, this AI generated code is so messy and so untestable and so unmaintainable. We need some human engineers to come in and wrangle this. And so then there'll be a big demand for some human engineers, I think. So I'm optimistic, man. I don't think coding's dying. I'm fine. And okay, you're talking to somebody else. Butterscotch at work. But I believe it's uppercase. Okay, uppercase I. So Y shift I bracket. Hold on. Y. Let's see. So I is inside, and so I guess I'm wanting outside, maybe. I don't know. I'm so bad at Vim motions, and Butterscotch, I'm sure, is screaming at his screen all the time, like, "Bro, you're so terrible at it." 2025 vibe coding, yeah, and then 2028 coding. Yeah, that'll be the way it goes. That'll be the way it goes. All right, let's do the rest of these real quick. I know it's not super exciting to watch, but so we can get rid of this test, and then we just need to move this filter. Oh, yeah, we do need an extra. Did I misspell this? Expected. Oh, yeah. That needs to go down here. Expected string. And then we're going to do another one. Test filter. See, I should have done this the first time I wrote these tests. Now I'm paying the price to have to refactor it. And I have to do it in NeoVim, and I'm slow. Let's see. Another one. I think I have. Two more. Let's see if I can use Butterscotch's advice. Y-I apostrophe. It worked. Look at us. We're learning things. So now we can get rid of this test. Vcache. Okay, thank you. Did you have an IRC servers to connect to? IRC server. Is that like internet relay chat? I've never actually used internet relay chat. I have a Discord server you can join if you're interested. Sugiono. I'm not understanding coding. That's okay. You don't have to understand coding to hang out here. You can just vibe. Or maybe you're saying you don't understand my coding, which is also fair. I'm gonna try to get this refactor. Then I think that might be the afternoon for me. We'll see. Let's see. Now my brain is trying to process using these Vim motions that I've learned. Let's go back to the top. How do you do that? There you go. We can remove this one. And then we can do... This is actually a really nice one. Y-I apostrophe. That's... I'm going to have to keep practicing that one, because that one is a time saver. Now we can remove this one. And I should also be saying I have relative line numbers. So if I want to select from 14 all the way down to 25, right? I should be able to type 25J. So 25J, like that. Yeah, that's much. I just need to get better at doing this stuff. So Shift Y, 25J, and then delete. My Vimfu is very weak. Arul, hello, Arul. How are you? Arul, which framework? It's not really a framework, Arul. I'm writing in TypeScript, but I'm building a model context protocol server. Is what I'm building. Vikash, Discord ID. There's a channel link in. If you go to my main YouTube channel, there's a link in the channel links for the Discord invite. You're more than welcome to hit it. Looks like we actually have one new member. I just approved. You know, I just realized never showed up in my chat. There's this gentleman from Serbia named Stefan, who's almost always in my chat every stream, and he hasn't been here today. This has been kind of unusual. Ducky Dev, I just heard. Yes, that is my kid. You're playing Gorilla Tag, right?
No, I'm playing VR Tag.
He's playing VR Tag, but yes, that is that is my son in the background playing his Oculus. No, it's not an Oculus. It's a MetaQuest, right?
Yeah.
It's a MetaQuest. I always call it an Oculus, and he corrects me.
Yeah, because I don't want you.
Butterscotch, once you master these emotions, you'll be fast as fuck. Butterscotch, that makes me think of that meme. What's that meme? That meme is like, I'm fast as.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am. I'm fast as fuck, boy. I don't think you have any idea.
So, Butterscotch, whenever I finally become a Vim Motions master, I'm going to make a short with me editing text to this sound. I don't think you have any idea how fast that I am. Although I'm not fast at all right now. Rohith, hello, Rohith. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping into the chat. Ducky Dev, it's the same, just different engraved name down to the hardware. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. It's just, for whatever reason, my son always gets hung up on the fact. He's not aware, I think, of the fact that Meta, started as Oculus and then Meta bought it. My kids are also just very literal. Butterscotch, LOL, yeah, and I'll have to credit you, Butterscotch, in the description or something, because you've taught me. Let's see, you've taught me 3 or 4 different Vim motions. You taught me the GI. So if I'm here and I jump up to the top, I can do GI and I come right back into insert mode there. You taught me that one, and you taught me the 2 yank shortcuts right now. So I owe you, man. I owe you. Amir Games Boom. Hello, Amir. How are you? Nice username. All right, I think this is our last. This is the last one we have to move. Whoops. V. Hold on. No, V, and then select down. Gonna yank. Back up to the top, and then we're going to copy this guy and we're going to do Y-I apostrophe, and then we're going to put it, and we're going to jump back up, GG, and then we can jump down. How many lines are we going to jump down? Let's see, if we're at the top and we want to jump down to the bottom, like 47 or something like that. No, 33. Okay, so we do that, and we do 33J. And we delete. Okay, and then all my tests should be passing now. There we go. Very cool. Although I kind of feel like I should put a name in here, shouldn't I? I feel like my test cases should have names. Could say single rule. And then we could say not rule or not group. Then we could say name. This is going to be and rule or and group with one rule. Name. This is going to be and group with 2 rules. Oh, whoops, that's not together. That's here. And then we're going to have and group with 3 rules. And then we can jump up to the top. And now the reason to do this, I think, is just to help identify. So we can say test case dot name. We can say let's see, caret. And then we'll be able to actually see the different test cases here. So if one of them fails, we'll be able to figure out which test case it is in that array. Okay, cool. And now we just need to add some test cases for an OR group. We basically just need to add more complex test cases is what we need to do at this point. Ducky, Steven, you should use Vim to be fast with your fingers on your keyboard. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get better at the Vim motions. I've got Vim motions set up in VS Code too now, so if I ever use VS Code, I'm using Vim motions over there. I'm trying to get better, man. Butterscotch, here are 2 more motions. If you have any relative or explicit file path, you can use GF motion to go find that file, and GX on a link to open that link in browser. Okay, nice. Very cool. I did not know about the GX. Explicit. I think I have GF mapped to something though. Let's see. Oh, you're saying in my code. So you're saying if I do this where I say GF. Nice. I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I did not know the GX or GF one. Thank you, Butterscotch. I learned something again. See, streaming is beneficial. Ducky Dev, you just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Oh my goodness, are you singing Miley Cyrus in the chat? Ducky Dev, I use VS Code, not NeoVim, but I might try NeoVim and Zed. I would like to try Zed. And if I understand, I can install, even though Zed doesn't have a Windows yet, I can use Scoop to install it, apparently, is what someone told me. So I would definitely like to give Zed a try. That's actually on my list of things to check out. VS Code is awesome, Ducky Dev. I'm right there with you, VS Code. The thing is, now that I use NeoVim, the navigation with the keyboard is something I just never want to give up again. So that's definitely something. I don't know if I'll always be a NeoVim user, but I'm pretty certain I'll always be a Vim motions guy. Maybe not a very good one, but that's definitely been like, there was actually a video. There was actually who made the video. There was a guy that made a video. Oh, somebody in my chat shared it with me. It was do you guys know who Melky is? maybe I can find it real quick. Not that you guys might not care about this, but Melky. Yeah, this guy. He made a video that someone shared with me. Yeah, you can see I watched it. I reacted to it. And I actually left a comment on here. Where's my comment? Let's see if I can find it. I wonder if it got taken off here. But basically I left a comment saying that my favorite thing, because he asked, he said, you know, leave a comment, you know, about what your favorite thing about NeoVim is. And I said my favorite thing about NeoVim was Vim motions, which really isn't has anything to do with NeoVim, really, does it? Ducky Dev, me big dumb can't remember them binds. Yeah, I struggle too. I'm trying to get better. Like I said, I'm trying to do more intelligent Vim motions. Ducky Dev, you know what's funny? When I first saw your stream, I was gonna troll, because I troll everyone who streams on shorts, but you seem sensible and chill, so I didn't. Well, Ducky Dev, that's very kind of you, man. Yeah, I mean, trolls come into the chat and we just kick them right back out. So I'm glad you didn't troll. I'm glad you've been chill. All right, well, I think I'm right at 2 hours. I think this is probably gonna do it for my stream, guys. Let's before we say we're done, because I think my algorithm here is actually complete. It should work for an OR rule. So let's go ahead and, oh no, actually it won't work. Will it work for an OR rule? Yeah, it should work for an OR rule because I'm using type. So real quick, let's add a case. Let's add this case right here and see what happens. Watch, I'm gonna be running my mouth about it being complete and then it's gonna blow up on me. Or group with 2 rules. So expected string should be age is, let's see, age is greater than 18 or not role equals admin. Let's see if it works. No. Oh, that's because I'm putting single quotes around there. Which we won't actually do for numbers, but I haven't got that far yet, so I'll have to refactor that. But there you go. Okay, cool. So it does work for OR too. Nice. Let's see. Butterscotch. Motions are easy once you understand that every key is dedicated to doing one specific thing. Yeah, and I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping. I'm only 3 or 4 months into my Vim motions journey, so give me 5. It took me 4 or 5 years to figure out the whole programming and coding thing. So give me another half decade to figure out the Vim motions thing. You know. Let's actually also, before I close this and push it up, let's actually add nope, that's not what I want to do. We need to add, delete this. We don't need this anymore. To do, need to format the rules based on the field type that is being, oh god, based on the field type that is being queried against. There's also, the other thing we need to do is we need to replace the field name with field ID, and then we need to replace any list value names with their GUID equivalent. So there is more work to be done, but this should all be much more straightforward than traversing the tree, which took me a little bit to wrap my mind around. And it should be also more straightforward than figuring out how to represent this tree using a Zod schema. Which, shout out to chat for that, because someone in chat helped me do that. Ducky, I thought Steven was. I was, and then I kept talking. 90 directory says, "Oh my gosh, YouTube algo took me here the 4th time." That's hilarious. Well, thanks for leaving a comment on your 4th time around, man. We appreciate having you. Ducky, to have blessed by the YouTube algo. Yeah, you're either blessed or you can't get away from me. One or the other. It could be a really bad thing or a really good thing. Okay, I'm going to push this up. Let's see. Git add, git commit, work on filter, reverse, deal with and or groups. Yes, and I'm pushing to main. And yeah, if you guys are interested in, if any of you guys are curious in the whole model context protocol thing, because obviously today's stream didn't have a lot to do with that. It just had more to do with me writing that filter logic, parsing logic. There is a repo on my GitHub if you're curious. You just want to look at my code and get an idea of what maybe you'd want to do with it. It's up there. All right. Well, shall we say our goodbyes? Yeah? All right, guys. Well, if it's Sunday for you, I hope you have a good Sunday. If it's Saturday for you, I hope you have a good Saturday. And I should be back on probably tomorrow for another couple hours or so. We'll see how long I want to stream tomorrow. I think, well, tomorrow's Easter. So I think tomorrow we have some family plans. But if I do stream, it'll probably be in the evening time, which is kind of weird because I don't usually stream late. But that might be my only time tomorrow. All right, guys. Y'all have a good day. And I'll talk to you later. See you guys. See you, Amir. See you, Ducky Dev. 90 Directory, if you're still here, see ya. Butterscotch, if you're still here, thank you very much for all your help with the Vim motions. Thank you for passing your Vim foo down to the next guy. Appreciate you. All right, guys. See y'all. Y'all have a good day.